The story begins in the year 2075. As global water levels steadily decline and Earth's water resources gradually dry up, humans turn their gaze to space. Eventually, they discover a mysterious liquid on the moon, but this lunar water is completely different from ordinary water. As soon as it comes into contact with fire, it expands infinitely. To train humans to adapt to this lunar water, scientists begin a secret experiment at the lunar Bohai base. However, an unexpected accident destroys the entire Bohai base, killing all the scientists and researchers present. 5 years after the experiment's failure, the government implements a drinking water level system to regulate water resources. Each person is now provided with purified water according to their level. The higher the level, the more purified the water they receive. This system greatly angered the general public, who believed that water should be distributed equally among all. Meanwhile, Chief Jean of the Aviation Bureau visited Xiaosong, a former astrophysicist. But Xiaosong had now become an animal behavior expert. This time, Chief Jean had come to invite him to join a special mission. Initially, Xiaosong wanted to decline the offer, but as soon as Chief Jean mentioned Bohai Base, his interest suddenly piqued. In fact, Xiaosong's sister, the chief scientist of Bohai Base, had lost her life in the same accident 5 years earlier. Captain Han led the mission, while Xiaosong was entrusted with all the work related to the samples. The team's goal was to safely return the remaining samples to Earth before Bohai Base was permanently closed. After landing on the moon, they would have only 24 hours. These samples had to be kept at a low temperature at all times, and there was no room for error in the entire operation. As soon as the meeting ended, the entire team arrived at the launch site without delay. But the most surprising thing was that the co-pilot, temporarily assigned by the Aviation Bureau, departed 5 minutes after the rest of the team. Shortly after, the spacecraft reached lunar orbit. However, due to mysterious rain, communication with the Aviation Bureau was completely lost. There was no hope of communication being restored for the next 2 hours. So, the team had no choice but to wait until communication was restored. But then suddenly a violent vibration began outside the spaceship. This shock severely destabilized the landing gear. There were still 20 minutes left before communication could be restored. But if they waited any longer, the landing gear's engine could explode at any moment. Seeing the gravity of the situation, Captain Han made a drastic decision and prematurely separated the landing gear from a rocket. The landing gear landed directly on the edge of a cliff and could have fallen into a deep ravine at any moment. Just then, a heavy box suddenly fell from above. The impact shattered the glass of the spaceship, and Xiaosong lost his balance and began falling. Fortunately, Captain Han caught him in time and saved his life. But in the accident, their satellite communication system was completely destroyed. Now, all contact with the Aviation Bureau was lost. Now, to complete this mission, they had to proceed on their own. But the biggest challenge, was that Bohai Base was still a full 7 kilometers away. Completing the mission within just 24 hours seemed like a no-brainer. Meanwhile, the landing gear had also fallen into a deep ravine. Captain Han, the only person on the team who knew the entire route and map to Bohai Base, broke his ribs during the landing. His chronic illness flared up due to breathing difficulties. The team had no other option to complete the mission on time. With heavy hearts, they had to leave Captain Han there, and the rest of the crew raced to Bohai Base with all their might. Finally, just seconds before the oxygen was completely depleted, they reached Bohai Base. Upon arriving, they first restored power to the life support system, and then changed the entire base's environment to Earth gravity. But before leaving, they stumbled upon the corpse of a base employee, leaving the entire team stunned. The most surprising thing was that a sticky bubble clung to the body of the corpse. This clearly meant that the person had died by drowning. But the biggest question was, how did so much water come from this desolate lunar base to drown a person? Before departing from the mission, Chief Jean had reported that there had been a radiation leak at the base. But now everything appeared completely normal. Xiaosong suggested performing an autopsy to determine the truth. But Captain Han decided that it was essential to find the sample capsule first. The entire team then rushed to the control room and restarted the power system. In no time, the entire Bohai Base was back in operation. Despite this, they could not establish contact with the Aviation Bureau. The good thing was that the base's survival system was still fully functional. Once the air purification system was activated, the atmosphere inside became exactly like Earth's. So now everyone was able to take off their heavy space helmets and breathe a sigh of relief for the first time. Only then did they find the base's blueprints. Only those with level 1 clearance were allowed to enter the red-marked areas. However, there was no information available about those rooms. It seemed that even the ordinary members of the base were unaware of what lay within them. The strangest thing was that all the areas the Aviation Bureau had labeled as contamination zones turned out to be level 1 restricted areas. Was this just a coincidence, or was there a larger government behind this? With time running out, Captain Han ordered the entire team to search separately. He instructed that as soon as anyone found the sample capsule, they should immediately check its temperature regulator. If the regulator lit red, they should not touch it under any circumstances, and call Dr. Song immediately. Meanwhile, Xiao Song learned that before the mission began, every member of the base had been implanted with an identification chip. He wanted to use the central control system to locate his sister, but due to the system being down for a long time, the chip recognition function had become completely inactive. Forced to search for the sample capsule, the entire team set off in different directions. During the search, Xiao Song discovered a mysterious tunnel and immediately remembered Captain Huang's words. Meanwhile, Captain Han and the other members opened the door to a locked warehouse. The sight inside shocked everyone. The bodies of several members of the base lay there. It seemed they had struggled mightily to escape before dying. The Air Force report stated that everyone had died before the area was sealed off. However, the scene of the incident told a different story. It was clear that the men had been locked inside alive and had died by drowning. The mystery deepened. After some time, both teams simultaneously opened the doors to warehouse number 1 and warehouse number 2. But there were signs of someone exploring there before. They couldn't find a single complete sample capsule. Meanwhile, when Xiao Song arrived at warehouse number 3, he suddenly received a signal from an unknown creature. The question now was anyone else alive in this base besides him? Panicked, Li Qi immediately summoned Xiao Song to the control room and asked him to somehow restart the chip's identity recognition function. Without wasting any time, Xiao Song set off for the central control room. At that very moment, Suchin accidentally touched the corpse lying on the sample map. The tiny particles of water remaining on the corpse bounced into his eyes. Within a short time, his mental state began to deteriorate, and a drop of clear water oozed from his ear. Xiao Song arrived at the control room, but the warehouse door was locked from the inside, and fresh blood stains were visible on it. Then the rest of the team informed him that Li Qi had suddenly disappeared. But they didn't know that this was all a premeditated plot by Li Qi. He entered warehouse number 3 alone. His flashlight suddenly fell under the table. As he bent down to pick it up, an unknown creature snatched it away. Captain Han also received a signal from the unknown creature, but the location was unclear. He immediately ordered Xiao Song to find Li Qi first. Xiao Song immediately rushed back to warehouse number 3. Li Qi had finally found the sample capsule in perfect condition. But as soon as Xiao Song arrived, a horrific scene unfolded before him. The unknown creature suddenly attacked Li Qi and brutally killed him on the spot. Later, when Da Hong examined his body, he discovered that numerous bones throughout his body were broken. The scene of the incident clearly showed that such severe injuries could not have occurred simply by falling from a roof. Xiao Song also became suspicious because he had left the team without informing anyone. Li Qi's sudden death shocked even his teammates. To find out the truth, Captain Han checked Xiao Song's recorder. The recording clearly showed that a mysterious shadow had snatched the sample capsule from Li Qi's hand. The whole matter had become even more mysterious. Then his eyes fell on a ventilation duct behind the cupboard. It seemed that the mysterious creature had fled through this ventilation duct, taking the sample capsule with it. This made one thing clear. The creature had the ability to think and was very likely a human. But if that was the case, why didn't it attack Xiao Song? The continuous deaths of their comrades had caused a growing sense of fear and anxiety within the entire team. Then, everyone's attention fell on Suchin, who was sitting quietly in one place. His body was constantly shaking. When the team reached him, they were faced with a terrifying sight. A large amount of water suddenly began gushing out of Suchin's mouth. Captain Han and the rest of the team rushed to the scene. Du Hong immediately ordered everyone to put on protective suits and try to save Suchin, But it was too late. His entire body was covered in water. All his internal organs were completely destroyed. Even when his blood was drained, it was not blood but clear water. The deaths of 3 comrades in a row shook the entire team to the core. Captain Han somehow managed to lift everyone's spirits and also assigned new responsibilities. Dr. Hung and his team were tasked with conducting autopsies on the bodies and determining the true cause of death. Captain Han, along with some members, set out to pursue the mysterious creature. Moving further inside the ventilation duct, they noticed some strange markings on the walls. But after a short distance, their path was blocked by a heavy security gate. Only members with level 1 clearance could open it. No one knew what lay behind it. Everyone was forced to return to the control room. Meanwhile, Sachin compared body samples with those of the base's employees. The investigation revealed that the manner of his death was identical to theirs. But surprisingly, there was not a single sign of infection on any of the bodies. Now, the biggest question was, where did so much water come from? Then Doug Hung examined the fluid extracted from Sachin's body. 2 different components were found in it, but no one could figure out what they were. Meanwhile, engineers were examining the entire base's systems. They discovered that the loss of contact with Earth was due to a malfunction in the communication tower's data processor. To fix it, someone would have to go outside the base and install new equipment. But the problem was that the base's elevator was already out of order. No one dared to take such a huge risk. Finally, Captain Han decided to go out himself. Before leaving, Xiao Song told Captain Han that he believed the mysterious creature didn't mean him any harm. It attacked Lychee because he tried to enter its territory. Furthermore, it used the ventilation ducts to change its position before them. This clearly indicated that it knew every route to the base. It was quite possible that it was a member of the Bohai base who had been living there for the past 5 years. Because if it had used the supplies available there properly, it wasn't impossible for it to survive for so many years. But Captain Han refused to believe this assumption. He then approached the elevator with 2 other companions. Looking at the dark Bohai Canyon below, he remembered his daughter on Earth. His daughter had been infected with a dangerous virus and needed to drink highly purified water to recover. It was necessary. This was the reason why Captain Han took part in this deadly mission. To complete the mission at any cost, he had to descend with the help of a rope from a height of about 100 meters. But while descending, suddenly the broken elevator started working on its own and started moving upwards at high speed. Fortunately, Captain Han saved himself in time from the rapidly approaching elevator. But the danger was not over yet. After a few seconds, the entire elevator broke from the top and fell down. Death was standing in front. But at that very moment, Captain Han hung on to the rope and narrowly escaped. However, during this time, a lot of his oxygen had been spent. Somehow, he reached the communication station. But now there was very little oxygen left in his suit. The team members advised him to return immediately and fill the oxygen. But Captain Han did not listen to anyone. He decided that it was necessary to fix the communication system first. Eventually, he successfully repaired the system, risking his life. But he had to pay the price for this with his life. Due to lack of oxygen, he fell unconscious. Luckily, his companions reached there in time and brought him back from death. But even after the communication system was fixed, they could not establish contact with Earth. Then they received a mysterious signal from outside the base. The location of the signal was the same storage room number 3, where Lychee had died. The entire team reached there immediately. On searching, they found an old communication device near the Lychee. Then the truth came out that Lychee was spying for a mysterious organization. This old communication device was only used by the RX organization. Captain Han immediately ordered the engineer to contact Director Choi with the help of this device. After several attempts, the communication was finally successful. Captain Han reveals to Director Choi that Lychee was a spy and that the pilot was changed just before the mission at his request. The captain suspected that Director Choi also had something to do with this conspiracy, but the director flatly refused. He said that he did not know anything about Lychee's real identity. The captain then told him that there was probably a survivor inside the base who attacked them. The surprising thing was that Director Choi was shocked after hearing about the spy. But after hearing the name of survivor, he did not give any special reaction. It seemed as if he already knew about this. Nevertheless, He said that he did not know the real situation inside the base, and he did not believe in the existence of any survivors. He repeated the same thing again and again, that it is more important than bringing the sample to Earth to ensure that moon water does not leak under any circumstances. To complete the mission quickly, the director sent a full access code to Captain Han. On the other hand, Xiao Asong was continuously trying to understand the mystery of the sample. Suddenly, without thinking anything, he cut his palm and mixed his blood with the sample. Then a shocking scene happened before his eyes. As soon as the sample came in contact with blood, it started growing rapidly. Only then did Xiao Yusong understand how Suchin had died. This sample continues to grow continuously until its host's breathing stops completely. After this, Xiao Song went straight to control room and questioned Captain Han whether he knew the truth about moon water from the beginning. Now the captain had no reason left to hide the truth. He told that many years ago humans had discovered moon water on the moon. The government believed that if it was brought safely to Earth, the entire human race could be saved. And this moon water was first discovered by Xiao Song's sister. But Aviation Bureau kept the most dangerous truth about moon water hidden from everyone. This fluid could expand infinitely and was the real reason why the entire Bohai base was destroyed 5 years ago. Now the team reached the Level 1 database to get more information about this mystery. There he found a huge database. Then Captain Han's eyes fell on a green paper lying on the ground. There was also a secret door right next to it. As soon as they opened the door, they realized that the same green paper was filled with many secret information. Then Xiao Song remembered that 5 years ago her sister had sent her a mysterious email in which she had written only one name, Luna. Captain Hung also told him that Luna was the secret database of Bohai Base. When the entire team came down, there was a shocking sight in front of them. There was not only a huge green structure, but also a preserved specimen. A broken sample bottle was also lying nearby. The moon water that came out of just a small broken bottle created such a huge. The green structure had been born. Now everyone understood that if the sample could be safely transported to Earth and the moon water controlled, perhaps the devastated Earth could be saved. But as the team began collecting samples, Captain Han repeatedly felt as if someone was secretly watching them. Suddenly, with lightning speed, a mysterious little girl appeared before them. Before anyone could react, she attacked one of the team members, severing his entire arm from his body in an instant. At that very moment, a member of the team, trembling, fired a bullet at the mysterious girl with a fat gun. The bullet shattered the moon water sample, and the little girl also took the opportunity to escape. Everyone knew that the shattered moon water would soon begin to grow uncontrollably. Therefore, the entire team had to leave immediately, taking the remaining samples. In an ensuing stampede, one member died, while another was seriously injured and unconscious. Then, Xiao Shuasong, using her understanding of animal behavior, analyzed the girl's behavior. She realized that she had come not to attack anyone, but to protect the moon water. Captain Han immediately contacted Director Choi again. As soon as the director saw that the team had reached the moon water, he promised to send immediate help. But he clearly stated that before help could arrive, the moon water must be protected at all costs, even if it meant killing the little girl. Captain Han asked the director about the girl's true identity. He suggested that she might be a survivor from the Bohai base. But Director Choi evasively replied, "What would change if I told you the truth?" After the communication ended, a photo appeared in Director Choi's possession, showing him standing with the same little girl. It was now clear that this girl and the director harbored a deep secret. Captain Han then ordered the team to split up and capture the girl. But Xiao Song said he wanted to first access the database and gather all the information related to the moon water to uncover the truth. Finally, the captain sent Dr. Hug with him. They soon reached the database. But upon arriving, they found that the entire moon water data was completely blank. It was clear that someone had deliberately erased all the information. At that very moment, the engineer revealed his true identity. He was actually a spy for the RX organization. His mission was not only to obtain the moon water, but also to eliminate the entire team. Just as he was about to leave with the moon water, Dr. Hug and Xiao Song arrived. He lied, saying he was taking the sample to the control room for safety. But Xiao Song immediately became suspicious because Captain Han had not given any orders to transfer the sample and was the one who made all the decisions regarding the sample. Now, the engineer realized a secret was about to be revealed. He decided to kill them both. Suddenly, the same mysterious little girl appeared outside the door. Upon hearing the news, Captain Han arrived with his team. Xiao Ho Song stopped everyone, warning them not to rush. He wanted to gain the girl's trust. He then slowly picked up a sample of moon water and placed it on the table. Seeing this, the little girl calmed down completely. Then, Xiao Ho Song's eyes fell on the nameplate on her body. The ground beneath her feet sank, as it bore her sister's name. But as soon as the little girl picked up the moon water sample, the engineer shot her. Surprisingly, nothing happened to the girl after coming into contact with the moon water. Instead, the moon water healed her wounds in seconds. Before anyone could understand, she escaped with incredible speed. It was now clear that her body had adapted to the moon water. This meant she could be the last hope for survival for all of humanity. Captain Han then contacted Chief Jean through a secret channel and sent him to Bohai. He wanted to inquire about the truth about the base. But Chief Jean simply said that he would get all the answers from Xiao Song. Xiao Song then told Captain Han that she was convinced that her own sister had deliberately deleted all information related to the moon water from the database. Xiao Song believed that her sister had deliberately deleted all information related to the moon water to prevent this dangerous liquid from taking more lives in the future. Because a mysterious girl had repeatedly defended the moon water, Captain Han devised a new plan. He decided to use the moon water sample as bait to lure the girl into a trap and capture her alive. Meanwhile, the engineer secretly contacted the RX organization. He included the moon water as well as the mysterious girl as part of the deal. He then stole the sample at the first opportunity. But he was unaware that his injured colleague had already regained consciousness and had overheard the engineer's entire plot. As soon as the engineer left, he was about to tell Captain Han everything. But then the engineer suddenly returned and, without thinking twice, shot him, silencing him forever. Meanwhile, Captain Han and Xiao Song succeeded in their plan. They trapped the girl with the moon water. Her leg was badly stuck in the gate. Xiao Song, unable to bear the pain, rushed forward to help her. Then he noticed the Luna 073 mark on the girl's neck. Captain Han seized the opportunity and injected her with an anesthetic. Meanwhile, Dr. Hung noticed that the moon water sample was missing. While searching, he found his colleague's body inside the low-temperature box. He immediately informed Captain Han. Meanwhile, the engineer reached the control room with the sample and blocked all entrances to the entire base. Panic erupted throughout the entire Bohai base. Meanwhile, Luna also escaped as soon as the anesthetic wore off. Meanwhile, Xiao Song was trapped inside the gate. He disobeyed Captain Han and set out alone to find Luna. After a while, he followed her to a room that was likely Luna's living room. The window of the room clearly overlooked the distant Earth. Inside, he found Luna shivering in a closet. Using his understanding of animal behavior, Xiao Song gradually gained her trust. Only then did he realize that this room had once been his sister's dormitory. Nearby lay a hard drive containing the entire record of the Moon Water Project. The truth hidden within it was shocking. Initially, the research team was experimenting with biological samples from moon water. However, under pressure from higher-ups, they began experimenting directly with human clones. Luna was actually one of the 77 clones created from moon water, and the only one who survived the experiment. The truth was that Luna was a clone created from Xiao Song's sister's genes. Meanwhile, Captain Han was now convinced that the engineer had killed his colleague. He decided to go back and investigate the truth himself, sending his other colleague to find Xiao Song and Luna. While returning to the control room, Captain Han and Do Hung found the clone storage room. The scene inside terrified both of them. Just then, the fat fellow, Little Fatty, had arrived at the control room and was attacked by the engineer. After being shot several times, he made a last-ditch effort, taking out a sample of moon water and threatening the engineer. But the engineer opened fire again. The sample shattered upon impact, and the flowing moon water directly came into contact with Little Fatty's body. The engineer immediately closed the door, trapping him inside. Moments later, water began gushing from Little Fatty's mouth. After a while, the engineer also opened the moon water storage. The moon water, now rising at an uncontrolled speed, was about to submerge the entire Bohai base. Meanwhile, Captain Han and Dr. Hung also reached the control room. There, they saw Little Fatty's dead body, but there was no time to mourn. Captain Han immediately opened the main gate of the base. He ordered Dr. Hung to wait in the laboratory and went in pursuit of the engineer. Meanwhile, The engineer was searching for Luna with the moon water. Just then, the captain's second companion reached Xiao Song and Luna. Luna was about to attack, but Xiao Song immediately stood in front of her as a shield. At that very moment, Captain Han informed his companion through communications that the engineer was advancing towards them. He gave strict orders not to fire on Luna under any circumstances, and the three immediately rushed to the laboratory to meet Dao Hong. By the time the engineer arrived, Xiao Song, Luna, and their companion had already left. But this time, the engineer walked straight into Captain Han's trap. A fierce scuffle ensued, and Captain Han finally subdued the engineer. He asked him why he was doing all this. The engineer simply said, "You have no idea what happened at this base." Just then, a message came over the communication device, saying the captain had been attacked. The next moment, both of them simultaneously drew their guns and, fighting, dashed back into the water-filled area. At that very moment, moon water began gushing out of cracks in the pipes, forming a massive wall of water within moments. Taking advantage of the chaos, the engineer managed to escape. Meanwhile, the moon water exited the base through a ventilation pipe, where the moon's extremely low temperatures instantly froze it. Meanwhile, while walking, Xiao Song accidentally spilled a few drops of moon water on her face. After reaching the laboratory, she revealed the entire truth about Bohai Base to Daong and her companion. The truth was that Bohai Base was closed to prevent the truth about the Moon Water Project from being revealed to the world and the government from facing international criticism. Hearing this, Daong was completely terrified. They realized that even if they returned to Earth alive, the government might have them killed to hide the truth. Xiao Song explained that Director Choi had chosen him for this mission because his sister was the chief scientist of the Moon Water Project. He was convinced that Xiao Song would never reveal the full truth to the world to protect his sister's reputation. Just then, Captain Han returned to the laboratory. He ordered everyone to leave Bohai Base immediately, as the moon water was about to spread throughout the base. But then, Xiao Song's body began to change. Everything began to blur before his eyes. To protect his comrades, he immediately isolated himself. Shortly after, he began vomiting profusely and gradually fell unconscious. But a short while later, a shocking incident occurred. Xiao Song came back to life. In fact, Luna had bitten him on the hand, and his mutation, a gene, protected his body from the moon water's effects. Everyone then contacted Chief Gene. Chief Gene reported that the rescue spacecraft had entered lunar orbit. But at the same time, another unidentified spacecraft was also heading toward the moon, presumably from the RX organization, to retrieve the engineer. Finally, Xiao Song asked Chief Gene a question. What would happen to Luna if they took her to Earth? Chief Jin's answer stunned everyone. He stated that Luna would be imprisoned forever in a laboratory and subjected to the same inhumane experiments that were once conducted at Bohai Base. Xiao Song now fully understood that if the moon water were taken to Earth, it could pose a new threat to all of mankind. Furthermore, Luna's life would forever be reduced to a research tool. Therefore, Xiao Song decided not to return to Earth. His plan was to take Luna directly to a completely neutral international space laboratory, where neither moon water nor Luna would be under control of any one country. But Captain Han had a different idea. He wanted to take moon water back to Korea at all costs, as it was the only hope to save his ailing daughter. Before being a mission leader, he was also a father, and as a father, he had no other choice. Then Luna suddenly realized that moon water was heading towards them. Hearing this, everyone ran after to escape in time. But on the way, they encountered the engineer once again. Engineer had completely lost his mental balance after being infected with moon water. In this state, he revealed the entire truth of 5 years ago. He revealed that moon water had first leaked from Bohai Base. He was one of the mercenaries who had been sent to the base. But they were sent not to rescue them, but to eliminate all witnesses forever. This meant the government hadn't planned to save anyone from the beginning. Just then, the moon water began rapidly advancing towards them. Xiao Song immediately drew his gun and shot the engineer. The engineer fell dead. However, Xiao Song was also wounded in the exchange of fire. The situation had become even more critical. Due to a malfunction in the base's systems, the main gate could only be closed manually. This meant that if one person didn't stay inside and close the gate, no one leaving would survive. Finally, Captain Han decided to sacrifice himself. Xiaosong tried desperately to stop him, telling him they shouldn't stay there. But Captain Han calmly ordered him to stay with the engineer and himself advanced towards the gate for the last time. On one hand, he was an ideal father, risking everything for his daughter, and on the other, a true captain, saving the lives of his entire team. Finally, Xiaosong, Du Heng, and Luna managed to escape the Bohai base. Upon arriving, Luna took off her astronaut suit and walked barefoot across the lunar surface. Seeing this, everyone realized that Luna had embraced not just the moon water, but the entire atmosphere of the moon. With this mysterious and emotional ending, Season 1 of Silent Sea concludes.